That Zed Podcast. Zed Podcast. Zambian conversations worth having. We talk to Zambian movers and shakers, the change makers, the achievers. We also discuss interesting topics. Subscribe to our channel on YouTube, That Zed Podcast. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Listen to That Zed Podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and Anchor. That Zed Podcast. Zambian conversations worth having. Hosted by K+.
It's K+, baby.
You know, when you hear that drum, you know an African king is about to be spoken to and is about to, share his life more than just what we know about his public persona. And today we are recording again from the same venue we did last week, where I think last week's episode was more like an episode for Comedy Central, eh?
We got so carried away. We forgot we're in people's houses.
Last week's episode with Kalinga Kamwenda the pilot, though, you were in not even beast mode. You were in. There's a word I'm looking for. Not comical mode. Nah. You were just something else, no?
Yeah.
You were drinking a virgin cocktail.
Which reminds me, are we getting any drinks today?
We do have to get drinks today, yeah.
Yeah.
We will order.
But that was a pretty interesting episode.
It was an interesting episode, lots of laughs, and I love the feedback and how people spoke about they didn't know this side. And every episode brings that out of our guests. And today's guest, though, remember, before we even talk about our guest, today we are at Riders. And you can actually bring your family here. It's a very nice family spot where you can enjoy meals, drinks, and there's enough space for the whole family, enough food and drinks for the whole family. And something special coming up with Riders in the next few weeks. Customer Appreciation Fridays.
Yeah, I heard London was telling me about 50% off, right?
50% off everything on the menu.
Sure. How do you slash the prices in half?
Yeah.
Good Lord.
Yeah, so that'll be happening at Riders in the next few days. It's going to be Fridays. They're going to start off with a few Fridays and see where that goes. And we'll continue and see that goes on.
So it's only on Fridays?
It's going to be Customer Appreciation Friday, yeah. So,
okay.
Yeah, pretty much.
Is it one particular Friday or like a couple of Fridays, or you don't know?
We will start with this coming Friday as of... When are we publishing this? Tuesday.
Yeah.
So this Friday that people are watching, Friday we start with Customer Appreciation. So remember, Riders, family, bring them here. Yeah. Great pizza, great food, great music, great food, drinks, everything. Today's guest, though, if we interviewed this guest last year around this time, we would have been labeled enemies of the state. We would have definitely been labeled enemies of the state. Our guest today, he's a musician, he's an activist. You're a rapper as well. Ladies and gentlemen, make some noise. Give it up for Pilato. Drum roll.
I'm done. I didn't go much up on my TV.
Dude, this drum from it's like he said, Shapa Matebeto. We're appreciating you, Tremi Tebeta, by featuring on this show, man. Welcome to that Zed Podcast, Pilato.
Thanks. It's a brilliant space. I'm happy to be here.
Happy that you are happy to be here, man. Can I start first with your name? I know I've interviewed you on radio before, but we haven't quite got a clear picture of what. I bring it up today because Pilato comes from Pontius Pilate, right?
No. Oh, not Pilatus, the car thing?
It's the same thing. Actually, when you do your research, you find Pilatus and Pilato are the same name, just in different languages, Greek and Roman. Now, Pontius Pilate actually was, should we call him the jury that, got Jesus crucified. He was a judge in that case.
Yeah.
So what's the relationship between you and Pontius Pilate? Are you getting anybody crucified?
But you guys have been answering this question for years now.
So why not on that Zed Podcast? break it down for our new viewers, man.
All right. So Pilato is an acronym for a statement that influenced my getting into music. So Pilato is an acronym which is people in lyrical arena taking over. And this is derived from an understanding that creativity usually is not employed on social, economic, and political conversations.
Yeah.
So you have creativity in designs, you have creativity in sound, but there is less creativity when it comes to social issues. You have less creativity when it comes to political issues. You have less creativity when it comes to economic issues. So my engaging into music, my getting into music was for me to say there is room for creatives to engage in this arena where there's so much that influence society, so much that influence people's lives, but there's less creativity. You just have boring men and women that
rapping about the same things.
Yeah, and insult each other and blah, blah, blah. But they are so much in charge of so much.
Yeah.
And so for me, it was like an intro to say, let's get creativity on these conversations.
So what's your real name, though?
Even Pilato is a real name. I don't think there is...
What's on your NRC?
Fumba Chama. But you guys, these are basic questions. Can you get to the real stuff? What's your problem?
Calm down, bro.
We're considering, we're considering our...
I want to get to know you more.
But I don't want you to know me that well. What's your problem? Yeah, so my name is Fumba Chama, and I like to tell stories, but I'm not a good storyteller, I think. So, but my story is, my father named me Chama, my mother named me Fumba. And when I grew up, I realized that they didn't consult me, so I gave myself Pilato.
They did not consult you in getting your name. You said you're not good. You make music. What kind of music do you make?
I just make music. I do hip hop. I do rumba. I do reggae. I do anything. So for me, it's basically.
How are you in hip hop when you're not a good storyteller? Because that is the essence of what hip hop is.
That's why I'm in music, because I'm not a good storyteller, but I have something to say. So basically, what that means is that I speak not because I'm good at it. I speak because I have something to say.
And then again, when we sit down to talk to you as, Pilato right now, not that you're not Pilato when you're doing your, activism or poetry.
Yeah.
But it's like a whole different persona. In your music, you're very comical, if I may. And then when we sit down with you, you're very philosophical and you're a serious guy. It's like, you know what I'm saying? And why the differences, though, in your personas and how you deliver your messages?
That sounds nice. Those are questions that one would expect at this point in my career. You expect questions that are so detached from the introductions. So, first of all, Pilato is a creation by Fumba Chama. Yeah. And like everybody else, you need a platform. You need a mechanism to use to communicate.
Yeah.
And there are things that I would communicate better as Pilato. There are platforms that I can access as Pilato. There are also some spaces and platforms that I can't access as Pilato. Above all, this is Fumba Chama expressing himself in different forms. So I express myself as Pilato. I express myself as Fumba. I express myself as an activist. But all of that is one human being expressing themselves in different forms.
Have you cheated on your girl before? And you say that was Pilato cheating, not Fumba?
Not yet. I plan to.
It was a persona.
Yeah, try that. No.
It's
funny he brings that up because, when you watch crime and investigation, there are actually some cases where somebody got away with a murder because a psychologist or a psychiatrist was able to prove
split personality.
Exactly, that this person was schizophrenic.
Yeah.
And the personality that killed this person, actually, we've gotten rid of that, and the person is now back to normal. So maybe his question is very valid.
Right? For me, it's not about personalities.
Yeah.
I like I said, it's a platform, it's a mechanism of communication. So for example, if I'm gonna speak to somebody that speaks in Nyanja and I change to speaking in Nyanja, it doesn't mean that I've changed the personality. What I've changed is my language, which allows me access to that person's mind and understanding. And that's what I do with Pilato. I remember what I do as Pilato. I remember what I do as an activist and all of those things. But the point is, for example, there are certain things that I've said outside of the Pilato brand, and that should have been spoken as Pilato. And the impact is not the same.
Okay.
The things that I've said as Pilato, that should be spoken as Pilato. And the impact is massive.
Yeah.
As a communicator, I need to understand who am I speaking to and what do I want to communicate at the end of the day. So what I do is, even when I get into the studio, I ask myself, who am I speaking to in this song? If I'm speaking to people that would want to listen to some Kalindula song, I'm not gonna force a hip hop beat on them. So I may lose the attention of the hip hop fans, but I know that my target audience is scattered, is managed in this project. That's what I'm saying. So there are things that Pilato as a brand can do that he can't do, that Fumba Chama in his image cannot do.
But to your credit, Pilato, you look nothing like a rapper. You know, when you think of a rapper, you think tattoos, you think a certain way of
basketball
dressing.
T-shirts.
There you go. You could pass off as, I don't know, a pharmacist.
White shirts or no, eh?
Yeah.
I'll tell you,
see that?
I'll tell you, for me, I've always believed that art is not identification. I don't want to do stuff that I am. It's representation. So I need to represent as many ideas as possible. So for example, look, I'll tell you this secret. When I was growing up, I wanted to do dreads.
Yeah.
And I asked myself, what about moments when I don't want to have dreads on?
You can't just take them off
You see what I'm trying
and
to
wear
say?
them again the following morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, if I want to go and do a tattoo today, and then after 2 years, I don't want it. I don't want to be in a situation where I feel I'm stuck to an idea that I had 4 or 5 years ago. I want to be me, so that if tomorrow I feel like I need to be this mad Pilato, there's enough room for me to manifest as Pilato.
To maneuver that.
Yeah, I don't want to lock myself in an idea that I feel is brilliant today, and then after 10 years, it's a stupid idea, but I can't move away from it because I've done something that commits myself to that particular idea for a long time. I'm still alive. What that means is that I'm still thinking, I'm still understanding, I'm still learning.
Growing.
I'm still growing, yes. And at the end of the day, what I believe today may not be the same thing that I'll believe 10 years from now. So anything that I decide now, anything that I do now, must not damage or take away my privilege to
change or who you're going to be 10 years from now.
So basically, that's why you will not see any of the permanent marks on my body.
And even the dress code though, aren't you like in a formal space now? You in formal employment now? Where are you working now?
That's a good question. I wouldn't want to say it. So I'm working for an organization called PAGS.
Called what?
PAGS.
Bugs.
PAGS.
Okay. Acronym for
People's Action for Accountability and Good Governance in Zambia. So yes, that's where I'm working as the executive director. But obviously that's the Fumba Chama part.
Is that an NGO?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
You asked a very interesting question about have you ever cheated on a woman as Pilato? I know you're a married guy.
What are you gonna talk about?
I know you're a married guy. I asked because you're wearing the ring on your wrong finger. On the wrong finger. Is this deliberate? Is there some significance to it? You're wearing a ring on your thumb.
But because
did you marry the wrong woman or what?
Because I choose where to put things.
Where to put
Things.
Things.
Yeah, nobody tells me where to put it.
Oh, so you're not going to put it on the ring finger where it's
Nah.
supposed to be?
Nah.
Because nobody should tell you what to do.
No.
Rebel.
Does she have a problem with you not wearing your finger? your ring on
Nobody
your
has a
ring finger?
problem with this.
Say again?
Nobody has a problem with this.
So she's okay
Nah.
with it.
Going through your social media, you know, it appears as though you advocate for a number of,
A lot of
causes
things.
like, good governance, human rights, and climate change. What type of an activist are you?
Yeah.
Okay. Or would you rather define yourself? How would you rather define your activism? What brand is it?
So I think for me it's beyond branding. I look at a human being as a complete expression of what I am. So for example, I'm now talking about many issues like the environment. It is difficult for me to talk about good governance to people who are running away from floods, or people in a drought, or people whose lives have been taken away because of these environmental issues. Like I said, as Pilato, as Fumba Chama, my advocacy is beyond a specific brand. I didn't call myself as an activist. It's people that called me that, that gave me the title. But what that also means is, for me, is that I'll not subject my work to what people called me. If people asked me what I should be called, I would have told them what I wanted to be called. But it's difficult to isolate certain things from guaranteeing dignity to people. So, for example, like I said, when you talk about corruption, you're talking about the dignity of the people, the citizens. If you talk about climate change, it's the same people that you're talking about. If you love people, if you care for people, one, you're not going to steal from these people. You're not going to put these people in moments or in situations where their dignity is questioned or lost. But also, you would care about the environment where they live in. The most effective way of killing a mosquito is by polluting the environment. So anybody that wants to kill the people, what do they do? They kill the environment. Once they damage the environment, the life of the people is threatened. So for me, it's a all-rounded engagement, as long as it touches on people.
So I know activism has opened a lot of doors for you. Are you able to share some of the opportunities and doors that have opened for you in the recent past?
I don't know if it's activism. Of course, I've had so many doors open for me, but most of them have come because I'm an artist and because of the stuff that I talk about in the music. I don't know if it's because of activism, but anyway. So what I can attribute this activism or music to is that I've been able to make friends. I've been able to be part of networks of friends that are not just within Zambia, but also even outside of Zambia, which in the long term has proved to be very helpful for my career and also for my work as an artist.
Would you say you have any political role models in this country? People that you look up to?
I don't think I do.
What?
I don't think I do.
The whole country, the whole landscape, the whole political landscape, not even one name.
I would say Kaunda was my big guy.
Okay.
I would say Valentine Musakanyaka Pumpe was one of those guys. I would say the current crop, I don't think there's one I can point to.
And when you say current crop, what's the time frame on that one?
I think the living ones are yet to inspire me enough to like them that much.
What have they done wrong for you not to gain any inspiration from them?
I think the question is not what they've done wrong, it's what they've not done.
I was about to say that. What would you feel they need to do in order for them to get to that level where you look at them as a role model?
I think what we lack is we lack leadership that is beyond brands. Okay. We lack leadership that looks at a generation or that looks at its people, especially young people, and speak to their aspirations. We have most of the politicians that we have, they are brand oriented. If somebody's UPND or PF, everything they believe in, everything they do is around that brand. And I don't think that's the kind of politics I would want to aspire for or be inspired by. I would want to get in a space where there is a politician that looks at the country and the generation and says, this is the mission, this is what we want to do for the people, this is what we are doing. Once you get a politician in that space, it means that their imagination of the country is not limited to the lifespan of a political party or anything like that. Because this is somebody that is thinking about the country now, but also thinking about the country in the future. I would like to get in that space and I would like to notice that politician and say, this is my guy. I do not think there is somebody I know that I can confidently say, this guy inspires me as a politician.
But I mean, if... Like I remember when you were just walking in, somebody screamed "future president." You've got a large following, one of the biggest Facebook pages in this country, one of the largest followings. Over 300,000 people follow you. And with all that you know, plus all your political philosophies, don't you ever think of standing for any office anytime soon?
I don't think so. I've not thought about it. I think that also forms part of what our biggest problem is in this country. It's where we think that anybody with an idea has to be a politician or join a political party for them to be effective. I would like to think and believe that we should create spaces where citizens could still feel powerful, could still feel effective, could still contribute to the conversations of national development and anything like that, even without becoming politicians, even without becoming presidents. What that means is that power should be decentralized. We shouldn't have power residing in one individual called president. We shouldn't have power residing in one individual as MP. All of us should have a measure of power to influence.
That I don't agree with though, brother.
Yeah, we should have a measure of power, all of us.
No, I don't agree with that. Because there are people, if we did that, would have anarchy. There are people that, because rules are not there for the good times.
Yeah.
Rules are there for the people that feel they could act any way that they want to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If we didn't have rules, if we didn't have any person or any law enforcement to sort of curb, you would get anybody doing whatever they want to. So you and I...
but you're talking about rules. I'm talking about me becoming
political
a
aspirations.
Yeah. No, the point that you made, that you don't feel power should be centralized, and this is why I'm saying that I feel that is extremely important, because without that we are mere animals. We cannot trust people to say, listen, if we don't have one person who's going to sort of look after the interests of everybody else, and everybody should sort of have the same, or be on the same footing.
I think you misunderstood my response. So power in this case does not mean equal power, equal measure of power. So what I meant was, so when you decentralize power, I'll give an example. So in this country we have parliament, we have the judiciary, we have the executive.
Yeah.
All these are powerful institutions. We, by no means are we saying the power of parliament is lesser than the power of the judiciary. So they all have power. What I'm trying to say to you is that each citizen, especially in a democracy, each citizen has a measure of power, should have some measure of power. First of all, to speak. First of all, to act. Second of all, to act. And for me, that's very important. And that's what I'm trying to communicate. So for example, if I had power to stop a criminal from stealing or doing any of the stuff that they do, I don't need to be a police officer. I can use the power that I have as a citizen to stop somebody from committing a crime. That's a decentralization of power I'm talking about.
But then people can abuse that, because who is to say this person is stealing? Because if I feel I've got enough power to stop anybody, I could stop you from doing something in the name of you being a criminal. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
So who's to determine? I hope you understand what I'm trying to say.
I do, but I think you get confused with this conversation. So what you're saying is that power in itself, if we give it to a few individuals, they will not abuse it?
They would.
Yeah. So what I'm saying to you, and what I keep saying now, is that the wielding of this power is key, especially for a democracy, because power has to be checked. The only way K Plus is going to check my power is it needs to have some measure of power, right?
Yeah, true.
And that's what I'm saying. And what I'm saying to respond to your question is that for a democracy like us, for a democracy to be effective, for a democracy to be beneficial to all of us must accept the responsibility that comes with the measure of power that we have as citizens. What is that power? For example, I just gave an example. If there's a thief that wanted to steal something here, you and I know that's wrong. We will not wait for the police officer to come and stop that thief. You and I will stop that thief because we have the power as citizens to protect property. And that's the power I'm talking about. We do not all need to become police officers because we know what must be done. And we have a measure of power that allows us to stop that criminal act from happening. That's a power that we use to go and vote. The only reason that we make people presidents and members of parliament is because we have the power as a people. We have the power to elect a president. It is that power that we must use to hold these leaders accountable. The act of voting in itself is not a complete expression of power or political power. It is when you vote, accept the responsibility that I'm giving this guy a job. And for the next 5 years, I will watch this guy. Because this guy has been voted for a specific purpose, for a specific mission. What they do with the power that you delegate to them, what they do with the authority that you give them, must meet your aspirations, because it's you that delegated the power to them.
This is a conversation for another day, but
yes.
And what I'm about to say might seem extremely controversial, but I don't believe that democracy is the best tool for governance or to choose leadership. I don't think democracy works.
I think it's for maybe advanced democracies like America. I think in a developing country, I don't think it's an appropriate measure.
Even in
to
America,
use for putting a leader in power. Even in America,
I don't think democracy.
To a great extent, I think I do agree with you. But what is the better option?
Yeah, that's debatable.
That's what I'm saying. So, I agree with you. It's not the best. I think at many scores it has failed.
Yeah.
But what is the better option? If we were to say, take this rubbish away, what is it that you're replacing this democratic system with?
I don't know.
What do they have in Japan again?
I don't know. It should be some form of democratic system as well.
Some form, but then you almost know who's going to be president because there's some hierarchy that they follow. And I'll remember as we go. But there's a system they follow which I feel would work very well in a developing country.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know. Like we said, a conversation for another day.
Because essentially, with a democracy, it's basically a popularity contest.
Yeah.
You know
That's
what I mean?
I'm saying. Like at many levels, democracy has failed. At many levels, democracy has proved that it's not perfect. But what are the options?
Yeah.
When you look at the available options, then you and I would say, it's not perfect, but probably let's stick with it.
Yes, this is what I was looking for. Found it. So Japan is considered a constitutional monarchy with a system of civil law. Politics in Japan are largely dominated by the Liberal Democratic Party, which has been in power almost continuously since its foundation in 1955.
God damn.
Imagine that. Now, why I brought this up? Because if you look at how quickly Japan has developed, first, when you consider Hiroshima and Nagasaki, that was what? 1945? Between 1945 and 55?
That was the First World War, right?
No, second actually.
Okay.
Now, if you look at how Japan developed itself from then to where they are, I don't think if they practiced democracy, they would have grown to that level that quickly.
No.
So you have a valid point. And the option you're asking of, I think what they have in Japan can work here as well.
I think that idea is the closest is what South Africa has. So in South Africa, you obviously know who the next president is because it's the party is dominant and it's a party that decides. So we know if Mabuza is the vice president today.
Yeah, he's definitely coming on.
He's likely to be the next president.
But you see where that helps Japan? Look at Japan from 1950, right after the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Yeah? When somebody comes into power, for the next 10 years, what plan he has for the country, he will work on for 10 years. As opposed to our democracies, where within 5 years, you're just getting warm in your seat. There's elections again.
But
you put your work aside.
But the other thing about Japan that you seem to not be putting into context here, Kalenga, is they are very accountable. Take away politicians for an example.
Individuals,
Individuals. If you fail at something, this is why Japan has got a very high suicide rate. I'm sure you know that.
Yeah.
If you disgrace your family, if you fail at something, they are very accountable to what they do. So I feel that is just an exhibit.
They put it in every part of their life.
Of who they are as a people. So I think accountability as a people basically just shows in their leadership, but that's who they are.
But also, usually when we discuss democracy, we limit the discussion to the act of voting. We also forget other principles of a democracy that we enjoy on a daily basis, but we do not remember to mention them when we engage in the conversation.
The rights.
Yeah. So when we're talking about democracy in its total package, we're not just talking about the act of voting or removing politicians.
Yeah.
It is what we're doing here. It's where you freely express yourself on matters that are critical to your own governance and your society. So I think a bigger argument on the imperfectness of democracy is on what politicians do with the power. But a bigger chunk of that is what does democracy come with? What does democracy promise that it should achieve? So I think whilst I would say we need a Japanese system, we might want to create our own
kind of democracy that works tailor-made for our level when it comes to how far we've come as a country. Because to practice something that a country like America has been practicing for over 200 years, and our democracy is only, we can't even count it from 1964, can we? Let's count it from 1991. So basically 30 some years. You know what I mean? It's not a discussion for today. Anyway, speaking of freedoms, and you mentioned democracy and the tenets that that come with it. Freedom of speech.
Yes.
What was your life like in the past government, man? Seeing as how outspoken you were and how,
it's a very emotional episode for me whenever I get to speak about some of the things that I had to go through. And at many points I avoid getting there because I do not want to appear to be an emotional being. I'm an emotional being, but I wouldn't want that to influence my public conversations because I want public discussions to be beyond emotions. Much of what you guys know and saw was the physical part of what was happening. I will give you an example. I think I've been arrested 4 or 5 times, but much of that time, the worst was the last time I was arrested in Livingston. And I can talk about that, but it's not one of the things that I would like to talk about. So, for example, I am speaking to young people in a church, and I'd never imagined that I would get arrested for doing so. I had my own survival mechanisms during these moments. Whenever I knew that I was going to be arrested, I would treat myself to some psychological preparations and all of those things. I didn't get that opportunity in Livingston because I didn't think that I would be arrested.
So you're not mentally prepared for that?
Yeah. So I get arrested and get pushed in this sweaty, small, packed cell. And I'm there for about 3-4 nights. And then I'm released. I spent close to a year screaming at night, waking up at night thinking I'm still held. I had to go to Kenya for a certain program. And it took me...
Were you raped in there?
Not really. It's... So, initially, when I know that I'll be arrested, I'll give an example. So when I was in South Africa coming back, knowing that I was going to be arrested, I took the full day without eating anything because I knew that I don't want to be in a situation where I need to eat and then I can eat anything. So I would deprive myself of food, I would deprive myself of water, and I would imagine the worst happening to me. And that moment takes a lot of crying, takes a lot of imagination. You think about your children, you think about a lot of family, you make a lot of friends and all of that. In that moment, you're imagining the worst happening to you, even death happening to you. So when you say, Chibe, it's because you've endured the worst from your psychology. When I stepped here and I was arrested, everything that happened to me was not worse to what I'd endured psychologically myself. I deprived myself of food, I deprived myself of water, I deprived myself of anything, and isolated myself from anybody. Even when I was arrested and detained, there was somebody that was there, which was better than what I'd subjected myself to. That did not happen for the Livingstone arrest. What that meant to me was, so first of all, I get there, it's a very small, sweaty space. And like all the cells, it's smelling, and I'm experiencing this firsthand. Unlike other moments where I could endure most of these psychologically, I'm there, my psychology is experiencing it, and physically I'm experiencing it. I would say I was super traumatized that I had to struggle accepting that I was finally out of that space.
And then you have said that you would prepare yourself mentally for what would happen in a prison or whatever.
Yeah.
It means you knew you were doing something wrong.
No, not really. It's because
if you're gonna get arrested and prepare yourself.
No,
not wrong. Wrong.
It's because you know.
Yeah, I know. But according
what you
to
mean, though.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's because you know. So, for example, if you see your child being snatched by a lion, you can't say going to fight a lion is bad thing. It's not a bad thing, but doing so would attract the lion's reaction, and that might injure you. Mm-hmm. You get the point?
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I knew I was doing wrong because I knew the intentions of the people that I was challenging in my work. I knew the quality of their minds. I knew how stupid they were. So you're thinking, because they cannot think beyond a certain level. So for them, their reaction to a challenge like this is this. So I knew all of that part. So it was easy for me to say, the only way they can react to this, and most of them confessed it. They could call me, they could tell people that I know that we're looking for this bagger and we're gonna do this to this guy. So the script was written, and I knew what was happening. So because all of this is in your face, and you cannot sufficiently run away from this, so what do? You prepare for the worst.
You've mentioned they would issue threats and they would talk about things that they would do to this bagger.
Yeah.
What's the worst thing that's ever happened to you, though?
The worst thing is happened to my family, which I wouldn't want to say.
Okay.
Yeah.
What happened to the?
It's happened to my young brother and to my two kids. I don't want to get there.
Yeah. No, listen, I would not want to, especially the fact that there's kids involved. But there's two questions that I want to find out. Getting into this activism, especially when you speak about the type of stuff that you do speak about, you do anticipate persecution.
Yes.
So two things. Your family did not choose this, you did.
Yes.
But then by extension, the persecution is passed on to them.
Yeah.
Right? So did you prepare them for that? That's number one. And number two, couldn't there have been something easier for you to have done, still achieve the same results that you would have wanted to without being as vocal?
So I think my position has always been that if I'm going to raise a child in a society that is a threat to their own existence, then I'm being careless. And for me, that time where people were attacked for wearing red, where people could not be allowed in marketplaces for holding a different view, that time where those that had money had so much power that they could influence or sell you expired drugs, I asked myself, if I want to protect my child and then raise them in a society where if they fall sick and I take them to the hospital and they're given expired drugs and then they still die, what good am I? Raising my kids in a society that I consider unfair and consider unjust and I consider corrupt meant that it was my responsibility to do something about the situation that I felt was not conducive for me to raise my children in. If I tell my children that stealing is wrong, and then the society is governed by criminals, what will it take to convince my children that stealing is wrong? If the biggest house is owned by a criminal, if the biggest car is being driven by a criminal, how will I convince my child that stealing or criminality is wrong? As I raise my children in this society, it is my responsibility to make sure that I create a conducive environment for them, but also create room for them to see that good actually is necessary. And that's what I did. As to whether there were other means of doing what I did, I think there are many ways of doing what should have been done. Probably I just didn't know about so many of those. Probably I was not properly designed to do any other stuff apart from what I felt was effective and what I felt was necessary at the moment. If there were other means that I knew of, I'm sure I would have used those means.
Do you see any results, positive results for the things that you have fought for?
I think that's a very interesting question. I don't think I see anything yet. A lot of people would want to translate the UPND victory into a positive of what many of us were engaged in.
It wasn't?
I don't think, not for me.
Pilato, what were you fighting for, man?
I think we need to get to an understanding that political victory is for a political party. As a young person and as young people, ours is not a political victory. Ours should be generational mission.
Yeah.
We, whilst successfully changing a government, is a good step in the right direction. For us, we should occupy ourselves with what is it that we want to get out of this life as young people.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, UPND will not be in power. There's going to be a different power, but we'll still have this country. What I stood and fought for, and what I continue to stand and fight for, is not that we change a political party.
Okay.
Is that we change the way things are run in this country. We cannot have a situation where if I have money and you don't have money, we both go to the UTH. You go to the low cost where you be forced to sleep on the floor. Yeah. And then because I have money, I go to the high cost.
Yeah.
And we both pay taxes. And we both sing the same nation anthem. And we both say we own the copper, we own the resources of this country. That is immoral. I don't think I would call an election a victory for me. It's beyond that. I think my victory would mean a Zambia, getting to a Zambia where young people could get an education that is necessary, that is useful for their development. My mission, my success would look like equality, where poor people can go to the courts even when they cannot afford a judge. They still are given a privilege.
I like that. Not a lawyer, a judge.
Where they're given a privilege and power to get justice. For me, it's all about that. For how long are we going to borrow money to educate young people when we have resources? What will happen to us when we run out of these resources? That's a Zambia that we should be aiming for. We cannot afford to lose intelligent minds leaving this country because they want their dreams to come true. So they go to America, they go to the UK. We cannot continue to do like that. Countries develop because of ideas, and these young people have their ideas. But if we cannot create spaces for these young people to express these ideas, if we cannot support these young people's dreams, but we borrow so much money, how are we going to do when these young people have left this country and all the copper is gone? What are we going to use to develop our country? For me, that's what I fight for. I fight for a Zambia where, not that I fight, not that I'm the only one who's fighting. A lot of people are fighting, but I hope and pray that we get to a point where we do not fight for political victory. We fight for equality. We fight for justice. We fight for inclusivity. We can build a better Zambia. We can do that, even without political brands. it's up to us to say, let's do this.
I'm sorry to take you back.
Sure.
The organization which you said you said executive director.
Yes.
What does the organization deal in?
So the organization deals with accountability and governance processes. So what we do as an organization is we train young people, and much of our focusing is in social accountability and public resource management. We ask ourselves, should it be that Lusaka's roads even going to toilets when we have other parts of the country where there are just no roads? Why should a child born in Lusaka and a child born in Shangombo have different access to quality of education? So that's what we, as an organization.
How big is it in terms of employees?
So we have 4 members of staff, and we have about 5 interns.
Okay. No people in the field, etc.
Yes, we do. Most of our work is in the field.
Field.
Yes.
Okay. Reason why I ask, again, I sort of see opportunity and synergy, and I know I'm switching the topic a little, in what NGOs do.
Yeah.
In the previous episode, I was speaking to Kalenga, not you, the smart one, and he's got a farm.
I shouldn't have dropped out of
I think he's smart.
I shouldn't have dropped out of school.
I think he's smart negatively.
He's got something against me dropping out of school, so he always attacked me over that. Anyway, you were saying.
Yeah. We've worked with NGOs like the UNCDF, who had programs called Mobile Money for the Poor. JSI, for an example, who would disburse money to thousands of people that are in the field. So I just thought of something when you mentioned that, of something when it comes to digital payments that could help you, especially when it comes to your employees and the people that you have out in the field, because it's extremely difficult to carry cash. You've got people out in the field. Banks are extremely difficult to access. There's a platform that we've used that has got a bulk disbursement feature. So think of a scenario where you're sitting on your fancy laptop, you upload a CSV file with 500 names, first name, last name, amount, phone number. You click send, and the money goes into people's cell phones, regardless of the network. Airtel, MTN, Zamtel, and they can go to any booth and access that. And that was a game changer for the work that we've done. We did that with what's the organization again, Kalinga?
Which one's that?
Ting.
Ting. Ting. Have you tried Ting before?
No.
Come
you
on.
guys trying to market it?
Let him break it down like a fact.
No, you've never heard about it.
Let him break it down like a fraction.
No.
This thing is mind blowing.
Yeah,
That's why he brings it up.
exactly what I've just said. I think it fits more into what you're trying to do or what you're doing right now. I don't know how you move money from your organization to the different people that you work with.
So we don't have so much money to disperse, but I think that's an interesting platform that I would like to learn about. And obviously, not just me, but obviously
Try Ting.
our financial team would want to learn about that.
That was a game changer. Yeah. So with all these gems that you were dropping, I figured I'll drop one for you that you didn't know about. You're welcome. I'll send you my invoice.
Now, Pilato, moving on to issues that you've been through in the past, few months and years. Months before the election, you decided to protest with other musicians like B-Flow, Wezi, Michael Zulu, in what has become, popularly known as the protest in the wild. What was that protest about to start with?
So that's a very good question, and I don't think I've been asked that question a lot of times.
Yeah.
So the Bush protest was, first of all, a culmination of so many things. So remember that moment we were planning to go to the Bush was because B-Flow and this guy, Kings
Malembe.
Malembe. That said something about the gold mining, and Then this guy from the Copper Belt, this guy used to be the minister for Lusaka.
Bowman?
Yeah. So he had said something about young people not being allowed, or not being able to, or how they shouldn't address the president or any other political leader using social media. But also prior to that, there were also issues of mistreatment of Zambians that Mr. Mao Samba engaged in. So one of the critical moments was when he had gone to, is it a barber shop?
Yeah.
Where he spoke for the people and acted. I don't agree with his actions. I don't agree with his approach. But he did so. And then eventually this guy was asked to apologize. And the reason why he was apologizing is not for the approach, but because he had picked on this particular business house and the government did not address the issue that had led to Mr. Mao Samba do what he did. And just note that there were so many of these reports of mistreatment of Zambians, and there was reluctance on the part of government to engage and address the issue. Surrounding that, there were also issues of corruption. There were also regular issues of police and cadres beating people that wanted to speak.
Yeah.
All of that put together, we decided, I don't think I would want to live in a country where I cannot speak. Social media for Zambians has become like the main platform.
Yeah.
But if we cannot use social media to engage on these conversations that border on governance, that border on accountability and all of those things, what else are we going to do? We cannot go on the street because these guys will send police to beat us or to kick us or shoot at us. Are we saying that we are not qualified to express ourselves on these matters?
What happens to freedom of speech?
Freedom of speech,
yeah,
and all of those things. So we decided, guys, we have to express ourselves however. Just a note, for me as an artist and as a human being, everything that I am, everything that you people know about me is from ideas that I've expressed or acted upon.
Yeah.
If you tell me that I cannot express my ideas, I cannot act upon my ideas, you are declaring me dead. There is no single person that has changed or can be remembered for not saying anything or for not doing anything. What you're telling
Charlie
me
Chaplin, Mr. Bean, didn't say shit.
Can't lame on TikTok.
So, but my point is, the moment you say Kalenga, we can only hear your voice when you're talking about alcohol and weekend jams. Anything that matters to you, you shouldn't talk about it. I think will be insulting you because you're more than your happy moments. You're more than your alcohol.
That's true, man.
So for us, most of us shared that agreement to say, come on, guys. We have a political party that has probably 1 million members, but we're more.
Did you notice when you say to Kalenga, you're more than your alcohol? It touched him. I was like, that's so true, man.
I started looking for the waitress.
It shows how this guy, all his life, I'm sure he has been tormented about being an alcoholic. He must have touched him.
I'm not an alcoholic, but I'm looking for the waitress now.
Yeah, but the idea is...
Wait, also, how come we don't have a waitress today?
For me? I have no idea.
What happened to our drinks, our food? Come on, man. Pilato just lost a kg. He hasn't had lunch.
Yeah, but the idea is that we should be allowed enough freedom to participate even in our own governance. Like, we're not animals, man. We're not staff. We're human beings. You could become president tomorrow.
Oh, thank
but
you.
how you express yourself on these matters determine where you end up tomorrow.
Do you guys think maybe we should just do a pizza or something? Elson, should we do a pizza maybe?
Yeah, that's fine.
Can we have the same one my young brother had? You do pizza as well, yeah?
Yeah, but I have a beard, so I can't eat on camera. I just want water.
You're gonna look like John the Baptist. The way
they need an apron.
The way they describe John the Baptist in the Bible, he had locusts all over his beard because that's all he ate at some point. Yeah. When you read the Bible, you find that story.
When I read the Bible.
One day when you sit down to read the Bible,
Hi, Pamela. Could I have a Virgin Mojito? You don't have
a virgin mojito.
Can I have a bachelor mojito?
Bachelor mojito. Let me just have some apple juice, and you can bring the same pizza my young brother had. We can have that, all of us. Yeah.
apple juice.
Apple juice, yeah.
You know there's no alcohol in an apple juice, right?
May I have apple juice and the pizza my young brother had?
Could I have orange juice, Pamela?
Can I have some water?
But
Jesus. Pineapple.
so the same one, but large, eh? The same one my young brother had, yeah. All right, cool. Pilato, and then you guys, you got the whole country going nuts that day because you outsmarted the police. You outsmarted the police. Whose idea was it first to start with?
I think it
You
was,
guys going through the bush and
I think
outsmarting
it was
the cops.
the idea
Yeah.
for so many people. Some of them that did not even protest with us.
Oh,
So,
okay.
I must mention that the people, there's so much that we neglect to see and acknowledge in young people today.
Yeah.
And that is the ability to use their brains on critical issues. And
Critical thinking.
yes, so we want to know young people as these noisemakers, and we have refused as a country to engage them critically. Like you, if I was to sit and say we have this problem, how do we fix it?
Yeah.
How old people look at it and how young people look at it, different things. Today, every politician is on Facebook, but this is a Facebook that was generated by a young person who is no longer young at the moment.
I don't really believe Mark is a person. I think he's a lizard. He gets into a human skin every single morning. I've said this before.
But the point is,
He was young.
yeah, but the point
Lizard
is
or not, he
that
was a young
was
lizard.
young. And that is one individual. But if we allowed so many young people to engage, just let them express themselves intelligently, technologically, on so many things.
Politically as well.
That's what you
Yeah.
get. So when we knew that the police officers were coming with guns and weapons against us, we sat down and said, what do we have?
No weapon form against me.
Shall prosper. So then that idea sprang from just a lot of discussions. And we thought, this is smart. But again, that's not the main point. The main point is that young people now know what works and know what can't. And I keep saying that as long as we sideline these young people, as long as we marginalize these young people for whatever nonsense we want to do as a country, we'll not get the best. We'll pay more and we'll waste a lot of time doing what we want to do. But if we engaged young people, the impact and the result would be super.
So where did the cops go?
I don't know, they just wasted fuel.
A lot of human resource.
Yeah, and it exposed their lack of imagination, their lack of thinking. And you don't want that as a country because we are not safe. For example, if 10, 20 young people could outsmart the police officers as it is branded, then you imagine what young
All youth
criminals
put together.
would do.
Yeah.
Imagine if we were thieves or criminals. Imagine what we could have done. You get the point?
You know what I'm trying to imagine? You outsmarted the police and they were sent by someone to find you.
Yes.
What did life become like for the big names in that clique that organizes? I'm talking about B-Flow, Pilato, Michael Zulu. What then became of you guys after that? How wanted were you after that day?
I think I would not want to look at it from the big names perspective. I would want to broaden. Like I said,
you're the forerunners. That's why I bring that up.
Yeah, but since it's me responding, I would like to mention the names that are really spoken, because I don't want to create a situation where people look at Pilato, people look at B-Flow, people look at Michael Zulu, or anyone as a mastermind, or because it was a collective effort. So there is Moleta Kapatiso, very intelligent young lawyer. We have now Vili, who is super smart, young politician, very smart. We have Mombi Namwana, very smart young lady. We have just
Is she single?
It's okay.
Yeah, that was a sneeze.
She's not single. She's not single. Okay. You have Moiza Zulu. You have so many of these young people. Wezi. You have so many of these young people that usually don't get mentioned, But these are people that worked this plan and executed this plan. And because the police officers were working on a less intelligent instruction,
less intelligent,
it was expressed as less intelligent, and we still can't, because we can't laugh at the people that issued the instructions because we didn't see them.
Yeah,
we laugh at the police officers that implemented the instruction. And that is what happens when the thinking is not good, the action is not good. When your thoughts are not excellent, your action cannot be excellent. That's a clear demonstration of what that looks like in practice.
You're a maverick. I like that about you.
You know,
I am in a lot of different ways.
Do you know how much of a maverick he is? This guy had beef with a whole president of the Republic.
The president had a beef with me.
Of the Republic of Zambia. How many musicians do you know?
I don't think that's true, Kay.
To some extent it is.
I think he
knew you by name.
He knows my name.
But I think there's a different way of looking at that. So what I think should be the accepted look at that scenario is what we did as young people was to derail what could have been the West. And as to whether I had beef with the president, I do not think I had beef with him. I think I was helping him to do the right thing.
Okay.
And the people that had beef with him are those that cheered him on when things were wrong.
How old are you?
37.
What year were you born?
Why?
That's a very Christopher Katongo question, yeah.
No, probably.
37. I was born in 1984. That should be...
Yeah.
At least I'm older than both of you.
You know, with all that you had going with the president, you refused to call it beef.
Yeah, I don't think it's beef.
What?
I would still... I think it's... I was saying earlier that even today, I struggle to mention the PF and talk about any of their staff because they are no longer in charge of the resources.
Yeah.
So for me, if President Lungu was not president at the moment, I had nothing to do with him. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So now we have a new government. It shifts the conversation. So my focus is not on Mr. Lungu. My focus is on Mr. Aka in the HDM.
Are there things you're seeing right now in this government that you're going to start giving them pressure over?
A lot of things. And I would want to take the backseat for a period of time, because I think that everything that I did, I should have inspired one or two people to take this charge. I wouldn't want to be in a place where I'm considered the voice of the voiceless, or speaking for the people, or like this messiah or hero figure. I don't want to get into that space. I would like to get in a space where I can say, hey man, these VPF chaps really joined me. I go to bed and sleep knowing that there's so many young creatives, young Zambians that would engage and hold leaders accountable. I don't want to feel that I'm the only one that can speak. I think that's a very huge insult to God. Like, there's really nothing special about me. And that makes me like every other citizen. What pushed me to do what I did, and obviously to continue doing what I do, is, first of all, the fear for the West. Like I said, as young people, we have a mission. I'll give you an example. So Kaunda and his people fought for the political liberation of this country.
Yeah. Today,
we need more than political liberation for us to be meaningful.
Economic?
Yeah, that's the next step.
Yeah.
So young people, when between their 18 to 40 years, that's their time of energy, that's their time of creativity, that's their best moment. But if you have these young people spending days and nights on the road drinking and wasting their time, what more resources do you have as a country?
I was about to say that I believe you get the government you deserve.
Very true. And the only time we will get the best government is when we, the young people, improve ourselves. When we, the people, improve ourselves. When we raise a bar and say, not anyone below this standard. It's useless to say you should have a grade 12 certificate. It's very useless because the people that have wrecked this country are degree holders. What I'm saying to you is, if we, the people, told ourselves that only somebody with this standing or with these qualities can qualify to stand as an MP or councillor or any of those things, what we will do is anybody that dares to declare interest to rise beyond that bar should be that person that we agree with. And that's why I said I agree with you when you say democracy is a flawed system. Because when in a contest for popularity, you get the most popular.
Yeah.
You don't get the best.
Yeah, true.
You know? But to run a country, you don't need the most popular. You need the best mind. You need the best idea. And it is my belief that, and my hope that we'll get to a point as Zambians where we'll say, this is who we are, and anybody that wants to lead us must be this person. So that when those people qualify and become presidents or MPs or whatever nonsense they want to become, we can go on with our lives knowing that this person will not steal from us, this person will not do this person will not degrade us in any fashion. For me, that's my hope and prayer.
Speaking of going on with your life, you were a wanted man per se in the past government. What restrictions were imposed on you that, what restrictions were placed on you as an artist in the previous government, if I may?
I'll tell you, I've not had a performance for the past 3 years in Zambia.
You've not had what?
A show performance where I perform and get paid.
Yeah.
My last attempt to get to a public space was when Shefi was launching his album at Levy Junction. And I'll tell you what happened, because it's less emotional. So I get there, because I know, me and Shefi.
Yeah, you're way back,
man. And I'm thinking, this is my brother, this is my friend. There's no way I'm in Lusaka.
And
this guy is launching his album, and I don't show up. Of course, I can't perform. I wasn't going to perform. Because just a week before that, I was attacked on the stage. So I told myself...
on stage?
On stage, yes. At Evelyn Horn College there.
Jeez, were you hurt?
No. So then I'm thinking, let me just appear, because it's huge. Like, this is a Kopala Swag event.
Yeah.
So I show up, and I'm behind the stage and just having chats and conversations with friends. Then I see these chaps, cadres, charging towards me and start insulting and issuing threats. Lucky enough, there is a guy that I know who is a PF cadre, who's sane, I think, who spoke to these cadres and said, "You can't do this guy, let him be."
Yeah.
So I nicely talked to these guys and they went, which for me looked like I'm safe. Not knowing that this guy had gone to get the whole group.
Wow. He looked like he was helping you?
Yeah. No. This guy helped me.
He helped you?
Yeah, and told this guy, go,
Yeah.
get out of this place.
Yeah.
And this guy left. And
The guy that protected you then left.
the guy that protected me went to sit, and it was because it was more like a happy space. So he went around. And this guy that stopped from attacking me left too. But where he went, this attacker went to get the
whole village now, the whole clan.
Yes.
Damn.
So now,
Like
I'm
a
there.
demon. You know how when they say a demon, when it's cast out?
It brings a whole legion now.
So it gets so I'm there, and I think I was with Maki too, and we were chatting and excited and all of that. I think Booga was about to go on stage. And then I noticed this guy, I think his name is Mayweather, comes and with a gun.
Quite appropriate for somebody who...
With a gun and issuing threats. Like there were so many of them. So quickly Booga says, "Okay, come." Then so he pulls me to the inner side of the backstage. And quickly I figured out how to leave the space, and I left. What I heard is that they had blocked even the elevator and damaged it, because they were there waiting for me, hoping that I would go rush to the elevator. As I ran from this guy Mayweather, I go to the elevator and then beat me from there. Luckily, I had been taken to a safer exit, and I didn't encounter any of these things. The following morning, when I woke up, I found about 20-30 missed calls from Shefi, Buga, and Sean Kester, because I was told that these guys had really brought so much confusion that they were looking for me, and they had damaged the elevator. Shefi was calling to check if I was okay, and if, because like, and same with Buga, and same with Kester. That is a moment. And so for me, even today, I struggle to stand in front of strangers, because I'm thinking, I don't know who could be throwing stuff. Prior to that, the Evelyn Horn situation where I'm supposed to perform, and just before I get on stage, I see this government Land Cruiser with parked cadres, drunk cadres.
A government vehicle.
And it was
with
about
political party cadres.
This is 23, about 23, 30, somewhere there. And they go and they enter, they don't find me on stage. They come to the back room and they're saying, Pilato, you're not going on stage. These are armed staff. These are armed thugs with stones and just any thing that they could get their hands on. What saved me was a union president and the security team that started negotiating with him as they helped me escape.
Yeah.
And that's how I left. I've never performed since then. I struggle to stand before people now and perform, because when I start performing, I'm not focused enough.
You're worried about your security first.
Yeah, I'm thinking, I don't know who could be in the audience. I know. So I struggle even to this day.
Okay, you can go.
Have you sought therapy?
I did, and I think it was not helpful. That's why I mentioned the Kenya trip. So I'd gone to Kenya, and what that trip did for me was I went beyond what defined my normal life here. So I don't go to clubs, but in Kenya I had to go to the club, because I kept waking up at night thinking that I'm in the cell. I kept waking up at night. I would wake up 3, 4, 5 times thinking that because remember, when I got into the cell, there were maggots that were trudging from the corner toilet. So we had to clean the room as we got there. And every moment you're sleeping, you're thinking, you wake up and then you find yourself, you are at home. Like it's that. So I went to Kenya and I explained to my friends what I wanted to do. And how that worked was, went to the club, I screamed the whole night, danced the whole night.
Wow, took it out of your system.
Because I could never do that in Zambia.
Yeah.
I walked, instead of getting on a taxi, I walked through Nairobi.
Enjoying your freedom.
Yes, like, you get into places like, this is my first time being at Riders, by the way. And all of that experience, for me, helped me
get over it,
shift.
sort of.
Yeah, so I think that was more therapeutic for me than when I had time to speak to somebody that is trained to speak to me about such emotional issues.
Do you ever imagine what your life would have been like if the PF won this past election?
So first of all, I was going to survive them. I know, I don't think they were going to end my life. I don't think so. But I think it would have been very bad for this country. I think at many levels would have lost this country, politically, economically, and socially. So that's a waste for me. And when I engage on these things that people consider dangerous, it's because that's where my fear is. I'm not preoccupied with the fear of what they will do to me. Mm-hmm. I'm preoccupied with the fear that they will do to the country. I think I would be happy to die in a country that is alive than being alive in a country that is dead.
That's
wait.
I need to. Come on. That's.
I thought you wanted to
jump
go to
that
the
one. That's some profound stuff you just said there, man.
I thought you wanted to go to the toilet.
Come on. on, man. That's some profound. I've never heard that one before. That's really profound, man.
Yeah.
You'd rather be alive in a country. You'd
I'd
rather
rather be
die
dead in a country that is alive, because there's so much life. There's so much. I have my kids.
That's deep.
For me, that's what matters, even to this day. So when I was engaging myself in such conversations and activities, the question is, do I want to be alive and still not have access to A, B, C, D? Or do I want to be alive and still, you guys know what jokes you make about Zimbabwe and other places where governments have failed their people.
Yeah.
Do I want to be that? Do I want it to be too late to do anything? Have we lost enough? Have we lost everything that there's nothing to fight for? For me, the danger was clear. But what was clear was that there was something to fight for. There was something worth risking my life for. And I don't think any fear apart from that was going to change anything about it.
Nice, man. Elson, you wanna?
Yeah, I wanted to speak more about the therapy that you had and how you said it didn't help, because lately, Kalenga, you must have seen this as well.
Yeah.
There has been a high suicide rate.
Yes.
You've been reading about that, right?
Yeah.
Do you think suicide is higher now, or is just being reported more?
I don't know. I don't have statistics either from then or now. So I may not be able to put a vote on when it was higher. But what I would say to you is young people are going through a lot of stuff. And if we, again, gets back to we as a people, if we deny platforms for these young people to express themselves on some of these uncomfortable conversations.
What kind of platforms?
I'll give you an example of what me, Makitu, Shefi, Lloyd, and Augustine and Kopala Pastor doing this Youth Saturday. We have organized a space where we invited young people. Just come and say it out. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So have a conversation. If you want to speak to Shefi about anything, there is Shefi, have a conversation with him. If you want to speak to Pilato about, we're also getting a mental health specialist. Like, what we have neglected for so long is that most of our young people now, most of them lost their parents a long time ago.
Yeah.
Most of these are experiencing tough life now, and they have to compete with everybody else on social media.
That's what I think the biggest problem is.
Yeah, so, but you know, the thing is, as long as this young person feels they are alone in this moment, it is difficult for them to find strength. They're thinking, even if Kalenga is going through what I'm going through, but he's showing that he's doing well, and I can't even find this beautiful spot where I can take a picture and show Kalenga that I'm doing well, I feel horrible. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
And so what me and my brothers are doing is that we've created a space on the 14th of March, or 12th March, which is this Saturday Youth Day, where we can have, I may come from the Copper Belt, where we can have as many...
It's an empty wallet. It's an empty wallet.
where we can have these many young people, put them in one spot.
Yeah.
We may not give them what they want, but give them a spot to say, guys, you are not alone. Like,
Pilato,
whatever you're going through,
you just mentioned
alone.
how you also have this post-traumatic
Yeah.
where you can't stand in front of crowds.
Yeah.
So you could have somebody who is going through exactly what you're going through.
Yeah.
So a platform like that will not really help them, because they can now stand in front of strangers to speak about what they're going through.
I'll tell you, like I said, this is really not about medicating the problem.
No, I get that.
But creating an emotional solidarity. I'll give you an example. So I'm 37 years, like I said.
Yeah.
Getting to 37 years.
So 38 this year, right?
I'm getting 38. I still want to be young. But the point is, getting to here, there are things that I've seen, there are things that I've experienced that could be helpful. And there are things that I could be struggling with now. and that K or you could be going through, but because you feel you're behind, you feel your friends have gone, you feel you're better, you're worse than everybody.
Yeah.
When you learn that actually not Pilato can say what the problem is, so it somehow gives you strength. It gives you some level of belief that you're not alone, but also you can push and get to where you want to get to. The biggest problem that we have is that we've created a society where we are not allowed to cry.
I was about to bring
we are
up.
not allowed to complain. So even when things are super hard, it is difficult for somebody to say, guys, I can't. So what do? We want to cover that void. We want to cover that emptiness. How do I cover that emptiness? I want a beer. I want 2 beers. I want 3 beers. You find that Pilato is every day drinking.
Yeah.
You think I have so much money to drink, but because if I'm not drinking, I'm thinking about my problems. There's no one I can speak to, because if I speak to else, he's gonna blow it. He's gonna broadcast it,
or laugh at me,
and things
I
like
would
that.
laugh.
And
we know.
So what I'm trying to say is, because we have created a society that is so hostile to weaknesses and failures and all of that, young people and even old people are failing to speak out. And guess what? This is what they're struggling with in their private spaces. When we are not sharing memes, when we are not sharing a drink, what is it that is on my mind? We have so many young people that were supposed to be in school. They were left out. There's so many people that are friends that are doing well in their private corporate spaces, and they are not. And every day, who are they speaking to? If they can't speak to anyone, they are speaking to themselves. And if they're speaking to themselves, they get to a place where they feel, I'm alone in this, where they can't express a weakness because society will laugh at them. What we want to do is get to a place and say, is that what you're dealing with? I dealt with it when I was 19, and this helped me. Oh, I'm still dealing with that. What that does is tell you that, wait a minute, even this bagger is going through the same thing. That's, for us, at the moment, for us, that's what we can do. But there are those that might need to speak to a professional mental specialist, like I said, mental health specialist. So we have a lady that is coming to help us and just have a conversation with these young people. Those that want to speak privately, they will do that. But at the minimum, what we want to do is create this space where we can say, guys, life is not milk and honey. Sometimes it's going to be tough, and it gets tough. And for me, it was tough at this stage. But because I didn't give up, I'm here. And whilst I'm here, I'm not saying I'm not going through stuff. This is the stuff that I'm going through.
Yeah. You know, in what you're saying, I'd like to believe that in 2022, right now, things have never been better than they have ever been in any time in history. I mean, if you were to look at your great-grandfather, for an example, he had to dodge, I don't know, elephant, saber-toothed tigers, just
lions
to survive
pulling him out of his hut.
You know what I mean? So every single day surviving was a hustle. So coming from that to where we are now and the platforms that we have, you would think we have got these tools to our disposal that should help make our lives a lot easier, a lot more efficient. And yet it is actually the opposite. Growing up, mental health, depression, suicide, etc., the way it is being talked about now, growing up, it was not as prevalent. I don't know about in your household, growing up with your family, you get what I mean?
Yeah,
so
I do. It's some the difficult part with some of these conversations is that life is very individualistic. You see what I mean? So like, the best I can do is share my weakness and strength with you. And like, for example, growing up by 16, by 18, I was renting my own apartment, my own room, not apartment. Apartments are now, I was renting a room and sending my younger brother to school. I didn't have a job, by the way. that may not be the reality for him when he was at 18, or for you when you were at 16. So what I'm trying to communicate is things have changed, things have improved. But if we want to look at life in general, then it is likely to become a contest of perceptions, a contest of experiences. And I do hope that even this platform that we're gonna have on Saturday is
this thing is going to air on Tuesday. So by the time this airs,
it would have been past,
on the 12th of March on Saturday. I do hope that it's not going to be a platform to challenge experiences now compared to the challenges that we experience.
Yeah.
But it will be a moment of identifying our humanity and agreeing with it. And I believe that, like in my darkest moments, the only thing I needed was somebody to bounce my ideas on.
Mm-hmm.
So what I did is I think I said this in our first interview on Flavor. Yeah. I wrote every rubbish thought that I had. Like I wrote everything. I used to write a lot. And not so many young people are gifted to write now.
Yeah.
You know? And for me, that's what saved my childhood. I used to write a lot and I used to listen to good music a lot.
Elson may not know this, but this guy is actually a deep poet.
Not anymore.
I could tell. I mean,
extremely
not
profound.
Anymore.
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
Yeah, but the works you gave us on radio that year. Oof.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to say is, so that part of writing helped me. Like when I couldn't speak to somebody, when I couldn't trust anybody with my issues, I wrote them down. You see what I mean? That may not be a solution to a young person who has not had an opportunity to go to school and write stuff today.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah. What I can do is agree with them and say, that is true. What you're going through is real. I had my moments like that and I'm here. So if I took my life, I wasn't going to be here today. I may not be able to give them the medication or the treatment for a solution to the problem, but like in my case, I just need to let these things out.
Yeah.
If they can find somebody going through the same shit, like they will be like, I'm not alone. You know what I'm saying? For me, that's what I think I can do at the moment. And I think we all can create platforms where we can provide guidance to these young people. And most of these young people, like I said, do not have people to inspire them deeply beyond money, alcohol, and memes. I wish we could connect to young people from that level where you say, I'm going to be your young brother. I'm going to be your big brother. You know what I'm saying?
I'll be your big brother.
You could be his younger brother.
But unfortunately, we're the same age, so
he's safe. Yeah.
But anyway,
I know we have to round off.
Yeah.
And this has been extremely good. I like this interview. I like this chat. I feel like we should be able to speak beyond this. And I can almost read the comments already. People saying, "Oh, Elson, why were you quiet this episode?"
Sometimes you have to be serious.
I'm not. I can't. You can't be a clown all the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Read the goddamn room.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Speaking of you and writing, you've written some of the most controversial songs that this country has ever heard. And let me just take you through a list. Refresh your mind on this one.
Yep.
I've got a list of some of your most controversial, politically charged songs. And I'll give you 6 titles, eh? You know,
Yes.
I've got questions following these. Number 1, Koswemu Mpoto.
Yeah.
In fact, hold on.
Yeah.
Do you know the first time I heard that song?
Koswemu Mpoto.
Yeah. Gareth Cliff was talking about you. Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
All the way. You heard it from him?
Yeah.
Wow.
He did a whole 20 minutes on you.
Okay.
And how you got persecuted for that.
Yeah. I didn't know.
I'll get you.
Is that why you cheered?
No, he didn't. Do you know who Gareth Cliff is?
Yes, I do. Yes,
Okay.
I do. I cheered because you know about the song that I had in mind, and then you know it.
Buffy, number 2.
Yep.
Number 3, Tabala Ndasana.
Boy.
Number 4, Mr. Speaker, sir. Number 5, This is Zambia. And number 6, Alungu Anabuela. Now, which of these songs got you into the most trouble?
trouble is the same. The feeling is different. Physically, I think Kosemo Mpoto.
I see why you cheered when.
Yeah, because Kosemo Mpoto had me even run away from my own country.
Where did you go?
I went to South Africa, and but the whole experience was the same, like for every of those songs. And for me, I don't think they are controversial songs. I disagree with people that look at these works as controversial. I think controversial is when somebody is stepping on your toes, and then you are cheering, you smiling. I think that's controversial. When somebody says you cannot go to the market because whatever nonsense you believe in or subscription you have, so you can't go to the market. Or you start a business as you want to run a mid bus, but then they tell you that your bus cannot operate from the intercity bus station or bus station because of ABCD, or because you can't bribe these tags that were in the market. And then you go like, yeah. For me, that's controversial. I think it is normal human reaction when somebody infringes on your space, or somebody robs or steals something from you.
Yeah.
I think it should be normal human reaction that you have to resist or fight it. I think so. I think to an extent, that's why I believe that I deserve freedom, because I don't deserve a master. Anybody that positions themselves as my master, for me, that's a no-go area. And I don't think I can compromise on that. I don't want to just be alive. I want to be alive with dignity. I want to be a full-time human being. And what those songs were about was challenging somebody that had positioned themselves, or a system that had positioned a certain group of people as masters, where they could tell us, you can talk about girls, you can talk about alcohol, you can talk about flowers, but you cannot talk about the ideas that govern you. That somebody declaring themselves master over my life, I don't think I'm ready to surrender any of the freedoms that allow me to live as a human being.
Which of these songs do you feel was your best?
All of them.
All of them were your babies, per se.
Yes.
And if prices of commodities keep going up in this country, are you doing a song for this government as well?
So, first of all, I'm gonna say yes to that question, but let me give you the understanding. So what my biggest problem with the previous government was not because they were bad people, but it's because of the reality that they had crafted for all of us. So the song was a production or an offspring of that reality that they created. If the new government decides to do what the PF did, what we did to the PF, we'll do to the new government.
That's profound, man. Pilato, it's been real. We spoke on mental health, politics, controversy, you leaving the country.
And the environment. You guys.
And the environment. Let's talk about climate change now,
Yeah. So, like I said, I think it was the first question about who are you, what do you do? Like I said, so the environment for me is also one of the biggest things that all of us should focus our attention on. Because it doesn't matter what you do. If you study hard for your PhD, your master's, you still need the environment for you to enjoy your fruits, right? Your
enjoy
sacrifice.
our pizza as well. Where's our pizza, by the way, guys?
It's not coming, my brother, forget. So, but the idea is...
Martin is eating our pizza. Anyway,
okay, but the point is that there's no way you can love humanity. There's no way you can love people. There's no way you can love yourself and refuse to take care of the environment that helps you live, you know?
Yeah.
So, I'm doing an album called Lifeless. It's an English title with no English song. But the idea is I want to do 10 songs that talks about the environment, but also most importantly on water. Because if you remember, is it Cape Town that had run out of water at some point?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And the ocean is right there in front of you.
But these are the realities that we don't pay attention to, and we keep doing the stuff that we do every day.
Yeah.
But also on the different level, we have people in Lusaka, in Kalingalinga there, where the pit latrine is here and their well is here. We have almost every decent household in Lusaka. You find each household with a borehole. No one questions where this water is coming from. And as we continue building new houses, it means new
balls
and for how long do we have this water down there? We have, I think I released a song yesterday called Kokopala, and one of the things that I'm talking about is how people in Kalulushi, Chambeshi are accessing water with acid from the mines. So for me, that part of conversation is so connected to how human rights are, to governance. There's no way I'm going to speak to a politician about corruption, then neglect to care for the environment if my focus is human dignity.
So profound.
Very profound, man.
You are a better person than I am.
Way better person than you are, Elson.
The fact that you know that you're not better than me means that you're better than me.
You don't know. Anyway, this has been real, man. Like, thanks a lot for coming through. We've spoken about a lot of things that I know even our viewers are gonna love to hear about. You know what I mean? Mental health, especially, is one issue that. Also, I need to applaud you, man. You're the mental health serious advocate in this country, like an ambassador right now.
Yeah.
I've got so many demons that I fight every single night, bro.
There's so many people that could be saying that as a reality, but they don't have access to him. They don't have. If you have some time, bro, on Saturday, come through. We just.
I'll get your phone number right after this.
Sure, no problem. Let's do this, man. Let's do this.
So we have been at Riders, and our pizza is not yet here, though. I've got a feeling Martin has eaten our pizza. But anyway, remember, you can bring your families Riders, enjoy drinks, enjoy good. How do you think Martin got as big as he is?
I mean,
Martin, please come beat somebody up live on set. Anyway, you can bring your family to Riders. Enjoy this place, man. Enjoy this place. And remember to follow us on our Facebook and Facebook handle, That's Zed Podcast, Instagram. It's at That's Zed Podcast, ZM, YouTube, That's Zed Podcast, where you're watching us from right now. Remember to click the subscribe button down there. Pilato, it's been real. We expected you to drop gems and you've delivered. You understood the assignment.
So when we started, Pilato, you said, guys, ask me intelligent questions, not this. So how did you think this interview went?
I think it was super dope.
I told you.
Yeah.
We'll bring the hit.
No, but obviously for me, I'll tell you, is this part of the I don't do interviews anymore. I think you guys should have noticed by now.
Yeah. We are blessed.
Traditional questions, like, you know.
Yeah, of course.
Where did you grow up?
Yeah, things like that. And when you in Zambia, when you do 10 interviews,
you've answered all the questions.
Every single question is the same.
Yeah. So I think for me was a special opportunity to engage, and it's super.
Beautiful, man.
Yeah.
To the next episode, That's It Podcast. My name is K Plus, and you are.
You know what my name is?
No, I don't.
You know what my name is? Say my name. Say my name.
Bye.
I should be the one to leave you guys on. You said, what's your problem?